Okay, right, we're live. Hi guys, it's Nick with another weekly hangout with Zaheer, and we have a special guest. Um, Looks like Mario to me. Um, yeah, we've got Joe on, but do you want to say hi, Joe, and let us know who
Hi,
you are and what
hi
you do?
everyone. You're right. Hi there.
Yeah, Joe would like to keep his anonymity, which is fair enough. So we'll be talking to an inanimate Mario.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, that's all good. That's your option, mate. We were just saying before we went live that Zahir's had a heck of a day. So if Zahir drops off and falls asleep, excuse him, because he's driven. What did you say, about 500 miles
At
today?
least, yeah. I think five. It'll be about 5:20, 5:30 at least. Yeah,
And this is all to
530
do with
miles.
your move up north, yeah?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, all the fun and games that come with deciding to just you know get up and go.
So we better explain to those who don't know who Joe is. Joe's a reseller. I guess you might as well do your intro, Joe. Who are you and what do you do, mate?
Yeah, my name's Joe. I'm from South East London. I'm a reseller. I've been reselling for about 5 years. Yeah, properly doing it ever since I moved down to London. Really, my wife and I graduated from Cambridge, moved down about five and a half years ago, and yeah, I mean, first charity shop I ever went in down here, there was a pair of diesel jeans and two pairs of Hollister, um, and two Hollister shirts, and I thought, look, something's definitely good about this area, and just started to get into reselling from then, really. Yeah, and that was say about 5 years ago, and then been doing it by myself, really, and then sort of found on YouTube, like a lot of people did, I sort of just looked to see if anyone was on there and came across Tom the English Pickers videos, and then also yourself, Nick, and that was about it, really. And then just sort of been part of the community over the last couple of years, started making videos because I had something slightly different from what you guys were showing I could add to it, and yeah, that's it, really. Um, yeah, I work full time, so I do it part time. Sometimes it does take over a little bit, but yeah, that's me. And I remember the first time I saw your videos, Nick. I should say, I saw your videos and I thought, what on earth is this guy doing? He's buying Buckaroos and Trivial Pursuits. He doesn't know what he's doing, you know. But that was, yeah, that's all different now. You know, obviously I worked out you had a very different model to what I had, and you were selling a heck of a lot more than I was. But yeah, no, it was good. And then yeah, it's just been good to be part of the community and part of all that's going on. Yeah.
Cool. So what? Let's just go back to when you started. Were you doing reselling before you went to London then? Or were you dabbling in it before then and
I
scaled it
mean,
up when you went down south? Or
yeah, I mean, I just sort of touched on it. Not really is the honest answer. I mean, ever since being young, really, we never had a huge amount of money as kids growing up. So you also had to sort of do something to get extra money, whether it was paper rounds or picking at the fruit farm or selling cans and sweets from multi-packs, which is the first thing I got into, and football stickers. So I was always selling something, always doing stuff. I actually paid for our first home PC, made about £1,000 one year selling sweets to my mates at school, and so it's always been in my blood, the sort of reselling thing. But then, yeah, I sold a few things. I sold a pair of Oakley sunglasses, which I'd got from Cambridge out of an Oxfam there for sort of 20 quid. I sold them for 70 quid and sort of got a bit of a bug for it from then, but never properly looked into it and properly sort of, you know, took it up until really, yeah, moving down to London about 5 years ago. And yeah, I say it's always been there. I mean, it's funny because I used to live not too far from where you are actually, and used to go to some of the boot sales that you went to. I don't think I ever remember seeing you or anything like that there, but I was just starting to get into it, going to like Sunday morning boot sale on Biggleswade Roundabout. Is it Henlow Way? Is that the
yeah,
Growers one?
G&M Growers, that
That
one.
one, yeah, yeah. So it's the only one I went to, but yeah, I sort of saw a few bits and started doing some bits from there, but not really to sell, almost just to collect, which I probably still got stashed away somewhere at home. But yeah,
Well, you've got quite an epic collection. I don't know if you shared it with everybody else, but there's a picture recently of your Game and Watches.
yeah, yeah,
Quite epic. Because that
yeah,
took me back to when I used to, that's how I got into this whole thing in the first place was Game and Watches. I think I shared this story before, but I had a collection not quite as good as what you've got actually, to be fair. But I had an awful lot of them, and then I started reselling them, and that kicked it all off for me back in late 90s.
yeah.
It was cool to see them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, See, I was collecting those before I was reselling stuff like that because I just liked them and I just thought there'd be good money in them. But yeah, then just started picking up rarer games and stuff like that and storing them away for, you know, when I actually got into reselling, which is more recently. So yeah, there's yeah, I always enjoyed retro games, and that's probably where I sort of started with retro games. But then just because of what there was down here in London, the abundance was sort of clothing and trainers and stuff like that. Just, you know, picked up more and more of that, and sort of that's what I've sort of grown into, really, just because it's around, you know, nothing more than that.
Yeah. You all right, Leslie?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just listening because for me, it's always been quite. I've loved like seeing what Joe does because even though Joe, like you said, you work full time, you somehow like I don't know what it is about. Obviously, maybe it's an attitude thing, but whatever you do, I'm guessing you put everything into it because your sales figures are something that I'd aim for, and I'm doing this full time. And you know, you've actually been the sales you do. A lot of full-time sellers wouldn't even achieve those kinds of figures on a regular basis, especially you know, when you were having quite like a purple patch around Christmas, and with your, I think it was the Doc Martens and a few other things you had.
Yeah.
It's just like, what would you put that down to? Like, how do you get the mindset where you're holding down like a demanding full-time job,
Yeah.
and yet you're also doing this better than you know, like a lot of people do this full-time, myself included, to be honest.
I mean, I think it's relative. It definitely is a relative thing there, and I suppose you know, with sort of moving to where you're moving, is that it's the sales figures might look good and stuff like that, but the rent where I am is £1,400 a month or whatever, and a house down the road or up north, same house, is £600. You know, I've got to find £800 a month extra to be, you know, reselling wise. You know, that's £200 a week or whatever it is. So it's slightly relative. So I think that there is slightly better stock, I think, just as a general rule in London, and just where I am, it just seems that the pickups are quite good. But I've just been lucky, you know, you just get lucky at certain times with those Dr. Martens and stuff like that. I mean, I had over £1,000 on those in the build up to Christmas last year, and it was just right place, right time. A guy had some, bought a few pairs off him, took a chance, and then just kept on going back and buying more and more. But yeah, it's just working hard. I mean, just getting up early. I mean, I get up, you know, sort of 6 o'clock, 6:30 every day. It's not just the boots days; it's every day, and then work before going to do my like full-time job, and sort of just fit it in as and where you can. I've got a very understanding wife who doesn't mind me sort of like taking over part of the house, you know, of all the stock and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just, you know, that's just how it is.
I guess I was going to say, Joe, I guess all the extra holidays and stuff help appease the wife somewhat.
That does help. Yeah, that does help. That's definitely yeah, that definitely goes down well. All the yeah, did you hear that? Yeah, she said you're telling me. That's I think that's what sort of yeah, allows it.
Does your other half get involved at all, or is this your thing? Is this totally?
No, she doesn't do it. No, she occasionally she'll pick up something from a charity shop which I can resell, but not normally. No, it's normally me. She buys stuff from charity shops. She buys plenty, but doesn't really contribute much to the reselling. No. Yeah. So that's our partnership. I make it and she spends it.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite, to be fair, Joe, I think you're being a bit modest as well. I mean, it's not all luck. There's got to be, obviously, like you said, your hard work has to be kind of taken in. And the other interesting thing is, you said you've been doing this for 5 years, so you didn't have the benefit like we all have now of things like the Facebook group and the YouTube community. So kind of another interesting point about that is how you went out and proactively, you know, found out what works for you.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I know a few people have mentioned this and stuff like that. Some of the other guys who have been around in the circuit for quite a while. I mean, I used to have a little book that I used to sort of write down all sort of valuable PlayStation 2 and sort of titles in it and PS1 titles and stuff, you know, which I used to sort of update and carry around with me. You know, it was that's what there was. This is before, you know, you could check your smartphones and all that sort of stuff. You know, it was really weird. So you're sort of doing it much more, you know, just sort of guessing or on your own knowledge base, you know, and that's how I started. That obviously now you can check everything if you're unsure of the title of a game that you've not seen before. You just look it up and you know. But yeah, so I had to put the work in that sense, and I think that's perhaps one of the criticisms or the critiques slightly of like the Facebook group and YouTube and people just sort of copying what we see. sort of shortcut some of that knowledge. Not that it hugely matters, but there is something about learning stuff for yourself. You almost sort of remember it more if you've picked up a particular item and you do the research in and around that item. You know in the future what to look out for or what to avoid or so on, rather than just thinking, oh, I just need to buy this, and this because I saw Nick, Zaheer, and Joe pick it up. You know?
Well, I think the key word that Zaheer mentioned was mindset. I mean, your story is so true to a lot of us resellers. We were doing this as teenagers. We were doing this at school. We were, we were hustling, and you learn a kind of mindset, and you learn to look at things differently, and that stays with you. And I think some people may be guilty of coming into this because they've seen me talk about it or you talk about it and think, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
And in a sense you can, but there's a lot more to it, and it is about, I don't know, seeing the profit in things and seeing different angles and ways of doing it. And just doing copycat reselling will only get you so far, I think.
And the other thing I'd like to just throw out there as well is, to anyone watching, the 62 people that are watching this, Joe and myself, we do live in the southeast of London currently, and it's the most densely populated area. So even though Joe's being quite, I think, modest about the fact that there's good pickups, there is also a lot more competition here than there's going to be anywhere else. And also, if you actually listen to some of the things that Joe picks up regularly, you spend money, don't you? You don't shy away from taking advantage when people are asking what would normally be seen as high prices.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all about that. It's all about the end price, it's all about the end sale price. If you're picking up items that are only ever going to sell for 12 quid, most profit you can ever make is 12 quid. It's just, and that's, if you could sell it for free, but of course you can't. So it's all about that end price. What is that end price that you can sell for, and then work back from there. I mean, I think Nick picked up a big Polly Pocket bundle like last year or something, and it was, the bundle's worth 150, 200 pounds, and so it doesn't almost really matter what the price is that they're asking, because you've got 200 pounds worth of end product. So if they're asking £8, £18, or £28, it doesn't really matter because you've got all that money at the end. If you're picking up stuff and it's almost like the haggle sort of decides whether or not you're going to go for it, sometimes my question would be, there probably isn't enough money in it. If you pick up, if there's a bundle of games and an N64 and you can see straight away it's £150 worth, you know almost, it doesn't really matter what price they're going to say, you're going to have it. But if you look at that same bundle and it's say worth 30 quid, then they're saying they want 10 or 4, and you think, well, they want 15 quid, and you think, oh, if I can maybe get it for 12 quid, it might be worth my while, it might not. But so for me, I rarely sort of barter. I don't really do too much of that. It's either worth it and you do it, or if it's just sort of smaller end, I just sort of try to move away from that sort of stuff. That's what I've tried to do. So hence why you pay up for stuff and you pay more for good stuff. I'd rather pay 30 quid for a pair of trainers that I can sell for 80 quid than pay £3 for on 10 pairs of trainers that you're only ever going to get sort of 10, 15 quid for. It's that sort of mindset, less work, sort of more quality. And I know that quality isn't out there always. Of course, we'd all be doing that if there was quality items everywhere. Of course, there isn't an abundance of them. But that's what I'm about, trying to sort of pick up slightly higher end items which have got that higher end price, that end sale price.
I'd have to agree with you. I'm trying to move more that way, to be honest. More to take the amount of time I've got to put into it. But also, I think you're right. If the stuff isn't there, if that higher end stuff isn't there, and I think there is a higher percentage of the good quality clothing where you are for sure. I never see the trainers. Yeah. I am looking for them. And so it's a bit of both for me. I kind of buy what I can find, but I am trying to, where I can, go for the higher margin or the big bundles of stuff, big job lot. Yeah, but it all comes down to what you can get hold of as well. That's key.
Yeah, 100%. It comes down to what you can get hold of, and it also comes down to what you've listed in the past, what you're good at, what you can do. If you pick up I don't know, if I pick up a logo board game, I can list that in, I don't know, 30 seconds. There might only be like 6 quid profit in it, 5-6 quid profit in it, but because you've got templates and you've got stuff set up for it, you can do it. If you're starting out in reselling and you see a logo board game for £2.99 in a charity shop, by the time you get it, count it, sort it, list it, do it, all the rest of it, there's going to be £2 or £3 in it, and it's not really, it's not necessarily going to be something you can start a business with. You've got to sort of almost start your business elsewhere and then sort of come back to some of these items that you've got repeat template listings for, and then you can start taking the lower end sort of profit because you can do it quicker. But yeah, sort of starting there can be a bit tricky. But like you say, it all just comes down to what's about.
It's been interesting since we've been sharing on here, and we've seen a lot of people come and go, but those that have stuck with it, I think Ben is a good example of somebody who watched my videos and your videos, Joe, got inspired and started with all the stuff that I show a lot of the time, but he's now gone off into, you know, huge bundles that he's breaking down and all other different niches, and is making his own, creating his own way of doing it, if you like, and now he's inspiring others to do it. And Ben's a great example of, take what I might do or what Joe might do and then distill it into your own version of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean exactly. Ben's a really good example. Works hard as well at what he does, and it's really good. And the thing is there is a danger in sort of copying people and stuff like that. I mean, you think of someone like Ken or even yourself, Zaheer, if you start picking up every VHS or every sort of, you know, electronic item, and I've picked up a few electronic items, but then I don't necessarily have a skill set to test them or the parts or just the basic knowledge. So I end up buying stuff there could be some good money in, and then just ends up sat on a shelf or, you know, taking up a huge amount of space. So
that's me.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think Nick's got what I would be a VCR player that I'd be gagging to list. It's new in the box.
Right.
And I think he's had it now for how many months? I don't know.
About 3 months. I need to test them, and I've now got a stack of 4.
Oh dear.
I don't want to be contentious about it though, but I do want to also say that when you talk about pickups and you talk about abundance of quality pickups, I would argue that in our cases at least, I don't think that's true, because I would say that we regularly pick up quality items now, and again I'd say that comes down to mindset, and that can't be coincidence. I don't believe it just comes down to coincidence. I think that has to come down from mindset. Regularly pick up quality items now, and again I'd say that comes down to mindset, and that can't be coincidence. I don't believe it just comes down to coincidence. I think.
Hang on, what's going on? We've got an echo.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing it.
Is it running on
Someone's got a speaker. Is that you, Joe? Have you got a speaker?
There might be a different window open. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like a different window's open on. Is it running on
What are you doing, Joe? Someone's got a speaker. Is that you, Joe? Have you got a speaker?
There might be a different window open.
Right.
Yeah, that's gone now.
We have silence.
Sorry about that,
Joe.
Yeah, I think a different window might have been open there. Let's get into some questions then, because we've got 77 people watching this, which is pretty amazing.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. Let's have a look. Games Collector says, "Hi everyone, my 3 favourite resellers in one chat." Oh, brilliant, awesome. I love how the 3 of you focus on different products and all have your own focus. I mean, yeah, I suppose that's a pretty standard thing where you end up finding your own niches and you end up, you know, specializing, like you said, but it's always worth branching out. I don't know.
I was going to say, when you were saying that it comes down to mindset, I think also because all 3 of us do throw our net quite wide, to be fair. You know, it's quite a range of stuff. Even if you look at my videos, you know, recently I've gone from, you know, a bundle of cine stuff to Pokemon figures to those handles and electronic.
Handles are quality, by the way. They're from Norway or Denmark. I can't remember.
Yeah, my subscribers are amazing. I had a load of people send me links to websites and lists of products. And one person found them that they were being sold at £80 each, certain ones.
Wow.
And I think the same as what I've got. So I don't know how I'm going to pitch those. I might try them at 50 quid each even. That seems ridiculous for one steel handle. I might do them in pairs. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, they were awesome. But I think what I was trying to say was we all do throw our net fairly wide. It's not like we're doing the classic go out and just look for computer games. We all do love those, and that's kind of how we got into this in a way. But yeah, I think the fact that we've got our minds open to so many different things is half of the battle, really.
Yeah, you've got to be. I think the people who are making good money just do have a good sort of knowledge, don't they? They're real generalists. They're sort of really, there's a wide, and I think if you watch like your set, like the R3 videos, maybe Ken's, lots of other people's, you're going to get, there's enough sort of stuff there that those are the guys who go out. If you're only ever going out just, you say, like just looking for the board games or just looking for computer games, you're going to come back from most boot sales quite disappointed. And I think that's like Ben Fitzpatrick's story. He wanted to buy a lot of he wanted to build up a video games collection and found that he was never getting anything from boot sales, so he soon just learned that if he bought other stuff and sold it, he could use the money for that to actually buy what he wanted video games wise. So I think, yeah, the generalists and the sort of people with the big, sort of the wide knowledge, are the ones doing quite well out of it.
Vinny Gardner asks, has Joe found a £75 Magic the Gathering card yet with a winky smiley face?
Yeah, Roscoe Vinny told me that he'd sold his first pair of trainers the other day, and I said, I just need to find a Magic the Gathering card now to sell. So, yeah, unfortunately not.
You're working on that one. Yeah, 75 quid for a Magic card. I mean, some of those go for silly money, don't they? Like the Lotus.
Yeah, the rare ones. I know Vinny's got plenty because I sold him all my commons. I sold him about 20,000 commons or something. I can't remember how many it was. I could barely lift the box of what I sold him. It's all my common stock I just needed shot of. So he's not short of a few, are you, Vinny?
Ryan Brown asks, do you ever deal with golf clubs and their bags?
Me, no.
No, I don't either. I mean, it's something that I don't know a huge amount. I do a bit of like some sports stuff, like tennis rackets, squash, cricket bats, and stuff like that, but not golf stuff. It's too big to post, too big to store. I don't really know enough about it. I'm sure there's money in it, but it might be a sort of a Gumtree sort of situation or a local pickup sort of thing, I'd imagine, if I was going to sell that stuff.
Yeah, my knowledge on golf is also what I've got none.
Again, I'm sure there's loads of money in it. The right person will get loads of money out of it.
Definitely. Alistair Elliott asks, do any of you look at Tesco Outlet on eBay and have had any success with it?
I don't. I do sometimes see stuff like Tesco deals and stuff, Argos deals, and then I sort of find them and you follow it through and you see them listed on eBay. But no, I don't really do that.
Neither do
I can't remember. I bought from all sorts of different places. I did buy off Argos on eBay once. They were clearing Sonic figures. It was from a Wii game, a Sonic Wii game, and they had a free little articulated figure, and they clearly just had a ton in the warehouse. Yeah. So I bought all of them and then resold them. I think so. That was quite good. That was quite profitable actually.
I've got an interesting question here from Andy Wadsley. He asks, higher end comes with a more secure cash flow. Should new starters need to start at the lower end to limit risk or pull the trigger? So basically, if you're new to reselling, should you be taking risks on more expensive items?
Yes, question.
What would you say to that?
I think I've shared it in the Facebook group. I don't know if I've shared it on here before, but when I started reselling, I mean, most of the stuff I did, I was still doing as auction as a result of cash flow. I was doing most of the stuff sort of ending it on Sunday evenings, sort of my 10, 15 items or whatever it was for the week, and just sort of turning them over, keeping cash flow going. If ever I got a really good item, I might put it as buy it now, but I was always back then looking at all these people who were selling their stuff for buy it now, like really high value, thinking, oh, that's me. Thinking, that was me. Thinking how good was that? Thinking how these guys, they get twice as much as I do, but I wasn't able to do that because I wasn't able to sit on stuff. So I do understand that it does take time to build up your cash flow or to get to that position where you're able to buy stuff. But it's Andy, it's the thing is that you either spend 50 quid on 10 items or you spend 50 quid on one item. Your cash flow, I mean, it's still.
I think a lot of it comes down to confidence, and with a lot of niches, I'm still growing in confidence in certain niches, and I'm upping the amount I'm prepared to spend, especially if you're buying at boot sales, because you've got no comeback. You know what I mean? And if you're buying electronics, it can be a complete gamble. So where's your cut-off price-wise? I mean, that's a good question for user here. Where do you cut off when it's a complete gamble? Because if that thing doesn't work, a lot of times it could be worthless, although some stuff I know you can sell as broken. But what's your thought on that, Z?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of worked that out in my head. I think, is this item something that would still be desirable if it was broken? So that at worst, I'd at least make either a small profit or at least get my money back. But more often than not, it is one of those second decisions that you make there and then, because you've got an idea. Like Joe mentioned earlier, you know that it's worth this much. They're asking you this much. Just you just have to take the chance. I mean, I think I took the last kind of that kind of risk I took was someone was selling a commercial coffee grinder. Now, if I'd been cynical, I could have been asking what's someone doing selling a current, beautiful coffee grinder, commercial coffee grinder at a boot sale. It must be broken, and they're asking 40 quid. These things cost 400 new. There's no way I should go for it. It must be broken. But you can't. Again, it's mindset again, isn't it? I thought to myself, even if it's broken, I'll still make at least 100 quid out of it. Because they're so expensive, brand new. It turns out it wasn't, and I bought it for 40, sold it the same week for 280.
It's really interesting because I had exactly the same thing with coffee machines. There were Sage ones, like really nice ones, like £400 sort of machines, and they were 50 quid, but they cut all the caps off them. A few of them were a bit broken. It was off the guy who does all the Maplin returns where I am. So you never quite know of his stuff, and because it's a knowledge and it's a basic, I didn't quite have that knowledge. I wasn't willing on that opportunity to actually go for it. Although I think there was another reseller who did buy them and did all right on them. But yeah, it's just that knowledge. I mean, if you're taking a £1, £2, £3, £4 gamble, it's one thing. When it's 40, 50 quid, it's something different, isn't it? I don't really know where the line is, Nick, exactly.
I recently dropped to an auction, which let's also the other thing to put out there quickly is auctions are no safer really than boot sales. They're always sold as seen, buyer beware. I recently spent 220 quid on a tape deck without actually seeing it working or anything. Luckily, it worked, and I sold it for 480 quid, I think it was.
I still haven't got over that sale. It's a bloody tape deck.
Positive feedback as well. It sounds amazing, Nick. The quality of the audio it produces. I mean, it's an audiophile bit of kit. If you're into your hi-fi.
Yeah, that's where we differ. I love my music, but I'm not
You know how noisy audio tape is. Remember the old audio tapes. You know how hissy it was. You play an audio cassette through this deck, and it was literally ear opening. You were picking up things you'd never expect to pick up. It was a really good quality deck. I mean, I think this thing was like 3,500 Deutschmarks when it first was launched. So it's a hefty bit of kit. So someone's really happy with it. I've already got my positive feedback from that. So, but again, that is a hell of a risk. How many people would be willing to take that risk?
Yeah, and I think it's the thing. I remember when I first started out, and every time I got a return or I got an issue or something like that, you'd want to fight every single one, because it'd be like, oh, I can't believe they're trying to rip me off out of 6 quid or 10 quid or 15 quid or whatever it was. And you'd sort of fight because you weren't turning over or making a huge amount. Every sort of loss seems, or every single return or issues like heightened. But then when you're turning over a much bigger amount or something like that, you just sort of write that off as part of your profit, and it doesn't bother you. You just refund someone 8 quid, 10 quid, 15 quid. You move on with your day, and it doesn't annoy you. But when you're starting out, those sort of things can really bug you and really get you down. It's those sort of things. So if you've got a bigger cash flow or you've got you're making a bigger amount of profit, £200, yes, it's a big outlay, but it's not in the grand scheme of things. If you're making £2,000 for £2,500, £3,000 for the month, it's not terrible, is it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of perhaps forgetting how big a deal this is. Sorry, I'm sitting by a wind charm here. How big a deal some of these things are to the new guys. I mean, when you do get that first aggro customer or that first, refund request or whatever, it's quite a big deal, and we see that a lot in the Facebook. Yes, we've dealt with it all 100 times, so it's water off a duck's back. But even the first listing or the first expensive thing you sell, it's quite a big deal to people, and I forget that sometimes. So I do try and give a bit of grace to people, but I think it's all just experience. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely so. Are there any more questions here? Sorry, I think the reason I cocked it up earlier is I was looking to see if I could see the questions.
Yeah. Well, Vinny's setting up for board games, saying board games can be high-end too. I bought plenty for 50p and sold them for £80 plus. I mean, that's quite interesting as well, though, because imagine if you came across a trader that was selling these board games that are that valuable, but was asking a tenner for a board game. That would also automatically put off a lot of people because they're used to paying 50p to a pound for board games. So
Yeah.
again, it's knowledge. And Joe, you've shown quite a few pickups, board games in your videos, which are also quite,
Yeah, I've got a Pillars of the Earth one on the go at the moment, which is £80 game. I've got another one called Class War, which is like 100. Well, I've got it listed for 130 quid. You know, it's got watches, and there's plenty of money in board games. You know, a lot of these games are expensive, brand new. So, you do really well with them. Yeah.
It's interesting, the whole board game thing, because that's what I was really into when I started making videos, and I shared a lot. And like you said, Joe, it was like Chiv and Kaplunk and stuff. What a lot of people don't realise is I don't necessarily show everything, and there are certain things I still don't talk about and stuff like that. So I think some people got the wrong idea of the whole board game scene, but there is loads and loads of money in it. But you do need to do your own research, and perhaps we won't spoon feed you the little tiny gems all the time. So yeah, it's all about learning yourself, and there's quite simple ways of learning through eBay, which if you're clever enough, you can work out how to do searches and then find out all the information of what sells really high through eBay yourself. You don't need us to spoon feed it to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the whole sort of knowledge sharing and all that sort of stuff is a bit of a contentious issue, really. I mean, I've seen some of the items that I sell are a bit slower now since I was making videos a couple of years ago, and there's a lot more of them listed on eBay. But I mean, that's just one of those things. I'm still making more money now than I was 2-3 years ago, so I'm happy with that. But I can understand why some sellers and some people are a bit cautious about obviously what they share, especially people doing Amazon, doing FBA and stuff like that, because it's a very level playing field, isn't it? It's not sort of like you can talk your item up or take better photos or do a better description, keywords. It is pretty much we're going to have a competition over who's going to price this where. So I can understand why people hold back on that sort of stuff and can get a bit funny about people sharing stuff, but
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of people have a swipe at me for sharing, and I do understand it, and I have seen similar things to what Joe said, and with Amazon, you're absolutely right, because actually it only takes one person competing with you who takes the buy box, and that's you out of the picture. So yeah, and I do a lot more Amazon now. Amazon is making me more money than eBay right now, so that's kind of where my focus has gone. My eBay sales have been dismal in the last few weeks, worse as they've ever been. But yeah, Amazon is, I keep quite a fair amount of stuff I send to Amazon.
Yeah, I'm a bit upset about that myself. That I was having some of my best weeks on eBay, and I've had to shut my shop down while I'm doing this move, and it's really kind of weird not having any listings live. So it's just a bit of a strange one for me at the moment.
How long do you think before you can switch it back on then?
As soon as I've already got internet sorted out at the new place, so as soon as we're up there, the PC's back on, and as soon as I found all the stuff, because it's ended up in boxes everywhere, so then it's just back on with a vengeance. So that'll be it. Mr. Matt Gaming asks, what would you say is a typical spend each month on stock? I budget about £50 per boot sale at the minute. What do you is that, Joe?
Me, I don't know. It's probably between I don't know, 500 and £800 a month, I'd imagine.
What did you start off at? I mean, you obviously wouldn't have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I posted up. I got one of those YouTube one of those Facebook sort of throwback video pictures from when I picked up. I'd done a haul and I picked up a few bits from a boot sale, and I had like 5 items, so I'd have spent about like 10 quid then. I can't remember. I think it's the one time you get caught short, you never want to get caught short again, sort of thing. So you take 50 quid and then you spend it all, and you're caught short. You think, I better take 60 quid or 70 quid the next time, and so on and so on. So I normally take a couple of £100. There's a cash point quite local to where I am as well. So yeah, I mean, I just started with whatever. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. But
Joe, that sounds eerily similar. I think that a few times that happens and each time you up how much you take, so it never happens again.
And if you do run out of money, you just turn around, don't walk down another aisle, just walk straight back to your car with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
You know,
that last week, we've both been in a position where we've run out of money, and it's always when you found that mother load and you're like, oh crap, you have to go to the bank.
I'll take something back and get my money back.
Yeah. I've left deposits with people and then gone to the bank and come back. You know what I mean?
No, I
But at
understand.
the moment, I'm doing a couple of hundred at boot sales at the weekend, but also I've been buying RA stuff. Today I bought a load of Pokemon stuff, retail arbitrage. So yeah, at the moment I'm spending a lot, probably spending more than I should because I don't have a lot in the bank. But that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Miss Lima asks, are you guys VAT registered, and how do you deal with purchases from abroad in tax meaning? Um, I'm not VAT registered. I don't know about Nick or Joe.
No, I'm not VAT, I'm not VAT registered. I don't think I'm quite at that threshold. And also, in terms of purchases from overseas, I'm not really buying much from overseas. I don't think I buy anything really from overseas actually. So
I was VAT registered for years and years. When we closed the shop, after a while we deregistered, and we've been trying to keep under that threshold ever since because it's a pain in the ass. It's expensive and it's an awful lot of paperwork. So yeah, currently no, but used to be, and it was a headache.
yeah.
Ryan Brown says he has a 700-watt petrol generator in the boot, so he can test electricals when he gets back to the car. If anything fails there, it's time to run back to the store. That's a good idea, but it's not going to be available to everyone. Although you could probably charge people to test their items on you.
There's a guy who tests at my place for £1 a go, I think.
Oh, that's quite a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen a guy charging like £1 or whatever just to plug something in, test it.
Yeah. You've got to be buying a lot of electronics and a lot of high-end stuff to make that work, I guess. The inconvenience of having that in your boot.
Yeah. DJ Retromates asks, has anyone made any big Pokemon sales? I bought a Pikachu 2DS for 70 and flipped it for 200 this week. Well chuffed. That is a really nice flip there, and considering how big
Right.
Pokemon is. Another one, Joe.
That's free, mate.
Three. Oh wow, three. That's like a record on the
My
chat.
controller doesn't even work anymore. I need to reinstall it.
They've removed it from yours, Nick.
You remember what
You
that
haven't-
sounds like, Nick?
yeah,
Recently, no, it wouldn't have been doing much anyway.
they've been going through people's accounts and removing ka-chings from people that aren't giving eBay the love it deserves. That's it.
I've jumped ship. That's it. You don't get a
That's
kashing.
it. Yeah, you've been. Yeah, it's just like when the bank reduces your credit card limit for not using it enough. Okay. Um, let's have a look. So yeah, have any of you guys had any big Pokemon sales since the recent fervor around the phone?
Well, I've been selling those figures. I did a video where I showed the little Tommy figures and all of that, and they've done what I've done. I think I'm pushing about £200 worth, and I've been offered a lump sum on the rest of it, which I turned down. Actually, I was offered 150 quid for what I had left, but I've still got about £200 or £300, maybe more, still listed. And it was only one box full that cost me a fiver. It's insane what they're worth.
Mm.
So that's all I've been doing regarding Pokemon.
Yeah, I had some
Apart
questions.
from today's pickup, actually, which was nice.
I had some questions last week about Pokemon. I don't know if it's going to show on here, but I mean, I've got a fair few.
Bloody hell!
No,
That's
I mean,
nasty.
yeah, I mean, that's just from collecting from boot sales, and it's interesting actually. Before Pokemon Go came around, I've been watching like the numbers on Pokemon. I was always sort of thought if like red, blue, and yellow got to sort of about £100 for the three, I'd start sort of maybe looking at selling up. And they have got to that, and they've got over that now. Actually, they're going. You know, some people are getting really good money for it, and especially if you've just got like an old sort of old Game Boy Color, and you stick that in it with it, because a lot of people don't even have that either. You can get really good money for it. So I was tempted to sort of sell up on a lot of that stuff, but I just haven't. I've kept it. I mean, I think the value will obviously drop after Pokemon Go sort of dies down a bit, but I think Pokemon stuff's always going to be there or thereabouts. That's first generation stuff. The price will keep ticking up and rising. It's with a lot of that stuff. Maybe should have sold up on some of it, but it's only a small shoebox. It doesn't take a lot of space up. You know, and that's my collection. But you go onto like GGG or you go to someone sees things, people have got 5 times that, 10 times that. You know, that is a collection, but it's by no means the biggest or the best by any stretch. Some people have got that sealed. You know, some people have got huge collections. So yeah, there's a few in there, but yeah, I've not really sold much Pokemon stuff yet.
Lainey Ray asks, if you have a gut feeling about something, how much money would you risk on it without being able to check its worth at the time? And have you lost out by not following your gut?
Yes. Yeah.
I would just say I've regretted not buying things way more than ever regretting buying things.
Yeah.
Over the years, there's been mistakes, but I regret not going on stuff way more. So that's what I try to remember now.
Yeah, I'm the same, Nick. I'm the same. Like, I think I remember there was a board game, and it's like a 70, £80 board game or something like that, and I didn't pick it up, and I was really, I knew I should have done, didn't bother with it. And ironically, I think I saw on Darren Smart did a video about board games worth picking up, and he showed that exact game, and I was like, oh, if I'd seen that video like 2 days earlier, a day earlier, I'd have known. But yeah, I think it's normally stuff you don't pick up you regret. But yeah, I've made a few errors and a few bits and pieces, but you can normally just about get your money back. It's a difficult question to ask. How much would you spend? Because again, it depends sort of what it is. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not going to start chucking 10, 20, £30 around, but I don't know.
I have to agree with you. I think the worst thing would be to not buy something, to actually pass up on something only to realise it's worth something, rather than buying something to find out it's, oh my god, is that yet another one?
That was again, yeah.
Hey, he's on fire.
But by the way, Ben says Joe's just got the ka-ching sound downloaded and looping it.
I am. I'm just messaging myself. That's all it is.
Pressing a button on his phone and it's just going off. That's his text message thing, isn't it?
We've got 98 people watching with 24 thumbs up. So guys, if you want, if you've got any questions, please start them with question, and it makes it easy for me to see, and that's really helpful. And keep the questions coming in. We're enjoying answering them. Carol Bell asks, "What's the most expensive PS1 game you have ever sold?" So I'm guessing both of you would be very qualified for that question, actually.
Oh, I can't remember what I sold it for, but I had the Diablo one ages ago. That went for a lot of money, in the hundreds.
Bloody hell.
But I haven't had many big high-end PS1 games, to be honest. This was back in the days when I had the shop. So I don't know. What about you, Joe? Have you found many of the real high-end ones?
I don't know. I think I've probably got more high-end ones in stock than I've ever sold. I think I sold X-Men vs. Capcom for quite good money one time. Yeah, I can't really remember it. Yeah, I can't really remember off the top of my head if there's anything huge value. Oh, I had Tomby as well. I've sold that once. I did really well with that. That's quite an expensive game.
Yeah, I had a loose disc of that went for good money, surprisingly. It was scratched to hell as well, and I declared it as such. Can't remember what I got, but it was surprising.
Yeah, no, some good money. And I think, yeah. Oh, and I think I've had a Team Buddies once before as well. Done reasonably well on that. That's a good one. But again, for stuff like that, if people are looking for these sort of things, just type PS1 in, eBay, stick it on sort by highest sold. You'll see the titles worth looking out for, worth picking up. Yeah, but I don't not huge amount of money in any particular game.
Chris Edwards asks, with retail arbitrage, is it always a waiting game before you can resell for a decent profit? The Star Wars stuff Nick found recently was selling for the same low price online when I checked it. So Nick, I mean, that's an easy one for you.
Those Star Wars, I think they're called mashes. Like I said in the video, I'm taking a bit of a gamble on that. I'm predicting that at Christmas they will get to the price I need to sell them at. So there's a lot of gambling, but I do a lot of RA that is instant, where I will buy it and I will send it straight into Amazon and sell it. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I send up to Amazon and it sits there till December is how I'm playing it these days, and how I've done it in the past with eBay. But it's always a gamble. I say this to people when I share deals. There is no guarantee, and sometimes you do have to be patient, and sometimes you just have to cash it in for what you paid for it. And there's no shame in that either. I've done that plenty of times. But yeah, it's a tricky game, but I enjoy it, and I've done well out of it over the years. So yeah, have a go, I would suggest. But if you're not sure, don't spend loads of money. Don't blame me if you do.
Just a little shout out to Garage Flips. I've been watching his videos. Really good channel as well. And he says, "Well said, Nick, about regretting not buying things." So, and I think Joe echoed that as well, definitely.
Yeah, hi mate. We are Garage. I think it's Lonnie. Is Lonnie his actual name?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it is. But anyway, he's due to be on this chat sometime in the next few weeks once we sort that out. So that should be great.
Cool. Paul Kettle says, "Hi Joe, you obviously have a talent for reselling. Are you ever tempted to go full-time reselling?"
Uh, no, because I love my job. I love what I do. Um, I don't think I'd enjoy the stress of being full time. I can take holidays and I still get paid. And not only do I get paid for my work, I'm also getting paid for the stuff I'm selling, which is great. So there's more security in it. I understand if I really hated my job or if ever I was made redundant, it would be one thing, but I love it. And the other thing about it is that if, let's say ballpark figure, I don't know, say you're bringing home £1,500 from your full-time job, £1,500 looks like 3 grand turnover on eBay, sort of selling second-hand goods, give or take.
Yeah.
And could I do £3,000 additional turnover on top of what I already do? I don't really know. I think to go full time, you have to be into Amazon FBA or doing auctions, which are two things that I don't do either of. So sort of if I was going to go full time, my model, my business would have to significantly change. It's nice to know it's always there, or I can always fall back on my reselling. But I wouldn't, as it currently stands, what I'm doing, I wouldn't be able to make my wage through eBay on top of what I already make on eBay. If that makes sense. Not saying that it's all about the money. Some people might just want the freedom and the ability to do sort of choose their own hours and be their own boss, and they might put a higher value on that than the money. But for me, no, full time is out of the question at the moment.
Okay. Peter Stride asks, do you find your family friends think you need to get a proper job, in parentheses? I mean, this has come up quite often, hasn't it? It's a question that comes up on the Facebook group a lot as well, where people just don't seem to get it. I suppose is that the best way to put it out there? That people don't seem to give it the same gravity, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the word, gravity. People don't see it as a serious profession. They imagine we're just playing around at it, and I don't think they can imagine that the money's actually there to earn a living out of it. So they just kind of, because they don't really truly understand it, they just dismiss it. I think that's the kind of attitude I've had a few times. But my family have known what I've done for the last 15 years, and they respect the amount of work that's involved and how much money I'm capable of making. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a youth worker by profession, so people have been telling me I should be getting a real job for ages. They just think I play they think I play pool and drink coffee, but it's really not like that. But no, all friends and family and people that I've sort of told and I've sort of shared it with, they are really supportive and they get it. I've got relatives who are looking into it and doing stuff now and are sort of always picking up little bits in the charity shop. Sometimes they're trying to sell it themselves, sometimes they're passing it on to me to sell. So I've always had like a lot of interest from it. And in terms of like the jobs which I do like in youth work and in sort of church-based and Christian sort of ministry, often people do work part-time where they're not jobs, there's not full-time jobs there. So it's really great to have something like this in the background or eBay that you can do. And loads of people who work sort of in for churches or in youth work and stuff like that don't do it full time. So this sort of thing can be really great for people to actually help make up a bit, boost their income a little bit. So yeah, I get quite a lot of support or interest about it.
I personally found the same kind of thing where at first it was you have to explain why you're doing what you're doing, but especially when it came to family, I think the as soon as I was able to get decent enough sales and turnover, it made my point kind of for me when they saw the potential, at least that you can actually get, that you can make a living out of it if you're determined enough and can stick out through the beginning.
yeah, I think the proof is in the pudding, and a lot of my friends who were really skeptical when I left the police force and ended up reselling on eBay full time, the fact that I'm still doing it 15 years later, and in that time I've bought a house and paid it off, there's no question then, is there? Because all I've done in all that time is reselling, whether it be through the high street shops or online. I've not been doing anything else, so it just proves the point right there.
Vinny is mentioning this, so I hope it's okay to mention because he's put it in the chat anyway. 92 quid worth of sales for Joe during this video. Well done. That's got to be a record for the live chat.
How's he know that?
He's obviously stalking you.
Wow, good lad.
Um,
That's epic. Mine will be zero, I can
90,
guarantee you.
yeah, I mean, exactly. Look at that. In an evening, 92 quid worth of sales. There you go. That's fantastic. Um, Andy Wasley asks, buying to put away for Q4, isn't it better to just list the stuff and whack the price up near a crimbo to keep cash flow fluid? I'm
Yeah,
guessing that's an
that's
Amazon or eBay
I,
question.
I'm more of that sort of thought. I mean, everyone sort of says saving stuff for Q4. Q4. I just tend to buy it, list it, and if it doesn't sell, hopefully it sells in Q4. But again, that's because I'm not buying the stuff with the close margins and the stuff where there's a lot of competition. But yeah, that's my experience. Yeah, I tend not to hold stuff for Q4. I just list it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound a bad idea to me. If you want to get it on, so it's on, and then tweak the prices or leave it high if that's what you're talking about. That's what I do with Amazon. I'm sending stuff up now that I have no expectation it will sell until the middle of December, and I'm pricing it way above everybody else, so it looks unrealistic now. But looking at historical prices, that's what I'm expecting to get. So it'll just sit in the warehouse till it sells. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I just had to mention we were at over 100 watches for a few seconds. It's dropped to 98 now, but there you go. And also,
Um,
Neil Borden mentions, Nick, your garden pagoda needs painting. I thought, yeah, I thought you should know.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it does. Needs a bit spot of creosote.
Okay. Shelton Miner asks, what's your strategy for listing with regards to the amount of time? 5, 7, 10, or 30-day listings, etc. So, what would you say to that?
Personally, I do the majority. I do 30-day listings. If it's an item that there's a lot of competition for, and I think it's going to sell quick, I might just pop it in at a lower price. So I might pop it on at a fewer days, so it comes higher up on the sort of time ending soonest one. So for instance, those Chewbacca masks and stuff like that, I think I just put them on 3-day listing because there was no point putting them on a 30-day, then being right down the bottom and people not seeing them. They all sold within the 3 days. So yeah, I do most of my stuff 30-day, but occasionally I might do some stuff if I need to sell it quick and I want it up the top of the listing, best match and the sort of time ending soonest one. I'll stick it on 3 days or 5 days or something.
Yeah, I'm still at 30 days on virtually everything. But things will be changing soon, and we'll be getting a lot more stuff on eBay. And then once I get to a certain threshold of numbers, I'm going to change to a different shop, and then do probably 10 days, and then
I,
do similar quicker.
yeah, I actually followed Ken's advice on this, and I did actually get over the 500 odd listings, and I've been doing the 10-day listings, and I think it does seem to work in terms of getting the attention, and because you're just relisting and selling similar every 10 days, things tend to get picked off. So it seems to be working. I mean, I don't know if it's just placebo effect, but
No, I think it stands to reason because we all see when you list fresh items, a few get picked off straight away. When items are coming to an end, they get picked off because they get boosted up the best match search. So if you're having your end and start dates
Notification.
more regularly, it only makes sense that you're going to sell more because they're starting and ending. So yeah, that's the plan for me as well.
okay. John Walker says, Joe, I just bought Sword of Sodan and it's not here yet. On that note, any nightmare customer stories?
Is that the guy who just bought that? What a joker. That's funny. Yeah. No, I've not really had any nightmare customers. I did sell something recently to. I sold like an old school Sony Handycam. Thanks, Zaheer. I think I picked it up for about £5 and sold it for 100 quid to a guy in Saudi Arabia. And it used to clear customs. And I always a bit iffy when something weighs over 2 kilos and you have to send it with a courier as opposed to Royal Mail. There's more sort of customs information to fill out and stuff like that. And I'm always a bit sort of tentative as to whether or not it's going to get there, but that did get there, so that was really good. But nightmare customers, not really. I mean, I've had a few sort of iffy returns and a few bits and pieces, but nothing that I'm going to lose sleep over. Yeah, people I think are pretty reasonable, pretty understanding. Majority of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just. I think that's definitely just a case of experience, isn't it? Or once you've dealt or been selling online for a long enough time, you won't see any customer really as a as a nightmare, as it were. So
So long as you sort of follow the rules and you've got tracking for what you've got, and you've got, sometimes people change their mind and they want to return something. You just have to suck that up, and that's just part of it. And sometimes again, if stuff goes missing or stuff gets lost and you can't claim for it, you have to remember it's not that you've not lost. Say you sold an item for 20 quid, you've not lost 20 quid. You've lost the £1 that you paid for that item, the 50p in the listing, and the £3 in the postage. That's what you have to get into your head. It's not as bad as it is. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's annoying, but life goes on.
definitely.
Mm.
Action Man Archives asks, what's the longest you've had an item before it's sold?
Phew.
Bloody ages.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that answer as well, Nick. By the way, can I just point out, I'm liking the rotation of the soft toys.
Yeah, fine. I just found what I had. This is
that
it is
people been smoking weed.
He's not smoking.
He's got these.
He's got some dilated pupils going on, hasn't he?
He has. It's an official one though. Official Nintendo product.
He looks off his head.
It's official.
I need to list that. I need to
It's
get
like
that.
some weird game of Pokemon.
Rebecca wants the gizmo.
Oh,
She's been told. Rebecca wants.
I bought him a while ago.
Gizmo's back.
Yeah, I bought him a while ago. And I thought,
He's cute.
there's really good money in him actually. Yeah, it's good money in
It
that
looks actually really good. It looks like a really decent flash, actually.
Yeah, he's got.
How much do you think that would sell for?
I think I can't remember. I looked it up and I just never got around to it. Yeah, I think they're like 25 plus. I'll have to have a look.
I had the smaller one that was a stripe, I think it was. Smaller one I got 15 for, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've not got a flat Eric in stock actually, but he's the good one as well, isn't he? I remember
I finally found one of them again.
Yeah, I showed him on a video, and everyone gets him now. I'm not claiming that I was the sort of the introducer, but.
Here's a good question from the jewelry reseller. What's your biggest distraction?
Facebook for me. Facebook and Messenger. Facebook Messenger chat.
Yeah, I'd agree. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I don't know. Biggest distraction I think is probably, for me, it's almost just trying to. I think it's almost just trying to be too thorough in stuff sometimes. So wanting everything to be almost sort of perfect in the listing or exactly right and exactly sorted, and then you end up just sort of not ever getting around to listing it or sorting something. So that can be a bit of a distraction. But yeah, just the usual stuff, like Facebook and I don't know. Just I can spend like 20 minutes looking up Lego minifigures to somebody else to help somebody else out when I've got hundreds of things I need to be listing for myself. Just because I don't know why I do that, but just so. It's that sort of thing, you sort of end up wasting time and on other stuff when you've got loads to be getting on with, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I've found recently I struggle to keep up with YouTube messages, Facebook messages. Is that you farting, Zaheer?
No.
What was that noise?
I don't know. It was even though I'm known for that around this house, but not on that occasion.
What was I saying? Yeah, I'm struggling to keep up with YouTube messages and comments and Facebook messages through my Facebook site. I love to be able to respond to everyone, but if you do message me and there's a delay, just bear in mind I don't have that many spare hours in the day.
that Gizmo plush has sold for 20 quid in the past. So yeah, there you go. 20 quid is yours, whoever wanted it.
Okay, have a look. David Chapman.
Let me just show you quick while I've got some of them here. You know what, that Star Wars pickup, I've managed to build them all now. The bigger ones I've had to take into parts. And I had some really good results. There were some bonuses in there. There's a little Santa Claus Yoda still in its poly bag.
Oh, nice. From the Christmas calendar.
Yeah, I think it is. And there's some of the sets are still bagged. There's a load of these. That's got a load of figs in. And a load more figs.
That
Still
looks like,
bagged in there.
has that got 4 men in it, that one?
Yeah, I think there's 4 in each.
I think that's 7914, I think that's the set.
God, you're a Lego machine, you are. Hang on, let me see if you're right. Hold on. 7914, did you say?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go, 7914.
One of them.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know Lego numbers off by heart. I just had it in front of me.
I don't have any Lego, but I've got this empty Walker's Salt and Vinegar crisp packet, so
Whoa.
I'll just share that.
There's another one.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's pretty awesome.
There is a great big one with wings that fold up, but I've taken it apart, so yeah, I can't show you that. But yeah, I paid up a bit on that. I bought 7. Well, it actually turned out to be more than 7 sets. I paid 55, but I think I'll get about 150 back, maybe top end.
Nice. Nice.
David Chapman asks, "What time should I get to a boot fair?"
I mean, you get to the boot fair when it opens. You know, if you want to get the good stuff, you need to be there first person. You need to be the first people who've been seeing stuff.
Funny you should say that though, Joe. I mean, I was actually going to make a video about this, but I just never bothered in the end. But we went. I wasn't meant to go to a boot fair this weekend because of moving, etc. But we just decided to go anyway, and we turned up a bit late. But we just took a really slow and methodical approach. And in the very first aisle, after all the resellers had gone through, after all the dealers had gone through, I managed to pick up some items that I really would not have expected to find. So, and overall, I had a decent boot fair just because I was able to be a bit more calm. And also, I think that sometimes when you're just behind the initial wave of dealers, if you ask someone for a price on something, they will give you a more realistic price than they may have given to a dealer, like in the kind of beginning of the boot fair when they're kind of looking for top end. So I think you can do well at both times, like early and late. But
Maybe.
But I will say there is a caveat to that. If you're looking at certain niches, then so for example, the niches that everyone is after, which is video games and designer clothing or trainers and Lego, those kinds of things are going to get picked up because everyone is aware of them. The items I picked up were valuable, but weren't necessarily as I suppose as popular.
Well known. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I see it is you have to see all the dealers as like a Hoover, and within half an hour of a boot sale, they will have gone through, and all of the quality sealed media, all of computer games, all of Nerf, all the Lego will just be swept clean, and that's gone. But there will, if you turn up, I've turned up at boot sales right at the end and found some great things, like those candles we talked about earlier. That was right at the end of the day. That was the last thing I picked up. And they'd sat there under the table and probably not even been looked at. And that was probably the find of the week for me. And it was just a random punt in the dark, really, and that had sat there and languished, and nobody had really given it any time of day. So that there will always be stuff right till the last minute of a boot sale. But if you want to compete to try and find the Lego that I just showed you, or sealed media or whatever, you'll be competing with a lot of people. So you have to be there like a horse out of the...
So, exactly. So I think a lot of it does come down to it depends what kind of items you really want to get hold of. 106 people watching this at the moment. I dropped down to 103. Pardon?
I was going to say that's a new record. I think we got to 101 last week.
Yeah, it was 106 for a second. It's on 102 now with 40 thumbs up. So thanks everyone for watching. Resident Kendo asks, do you ever get frustrated at boot sales with the amount of competition out there? I no longer have the patience for it, and I apologise, I can't speak at the moment.
Yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you don't like it and you find it and you're not enjoying it, don't go to them. You know, that makes sense. I mean, I don't particularly like it when there's loads of people in people's boots and asking, and you're sort of following dealers around, sort of asking. That's not really a thing for me. But if you, I don't know. I mean, there's a smaller boot sale which I go to, which I do all right at, and because I've been there for quite a while and I know quite a few people, and because I pay decent price and I pay up for stuff, people tend to hold stuff back for me. So if you've got a local one that you can go to regularly, sort of building relationship with some of the dealers, some of the regular sellers can be helpful. But yeah, if you're not enjoying it, don't don't go to it. Don't sort of upset yourself over it. I don't mind the competition. I'd rather not see the competition picking stuff up. You know, I'd rather just not see it than someone get like an amazing deal in front of you. But you know, it's just one of those things. I often think that, you know, I still go home with bags full of stuff, you know, with loads of money in there. So it's like, you know, that's what being a generalist is really good. You know, there's always going to be something that you can find. And quite often these dealers are looking for the Lego, they're looking for the video game, and then they miss the £100 board game just sat there. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, none of us have that divine right to all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't like competition, then a boot sale is certainly not the place for you. I'd agree with Joe, actually. I know they're all out there, and I see loads of regular faces. I just don't like to see them with a massive haul of something I would have loved. I'd rather just not know they've had it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I was going to ask Joe a quick question, actually. You're kind of known for your trainers and your high-end trainers. Is that something you've learnt through reselling, or are you a trainer fan yourself?
No, not. I used to gather like high tech and like lotto football boots, and used to get bullied. You know, I used to have terrible trainers growing up. My mum didn't spend anything on trainers, so it's only since like getting into reselling that I now have access to all these decent Air Max, Air Force Ones, Jordans, and stuff which I could never afford as a kid. So, yeah, no, it's just from learning it from reselling, to be honest. And yeah, I'm not a massive sneakerhead or that. You know, I know lots of people are really into it, but you know, I tend to just buy to resell. I do keep a few of them, but no, it's just from seeing that there's good money in them. You know, brand new pairs of Nike trainers are £100. You know, there's going to be some sort of good resale value in them. You know, that's all it is. Simple as that.
Cool.
Okay. So
What's that noise again? Something squeaking on your laptop.
Yeah. What it is, I can't figure that out.
Oh, it's my favourite Toad. Toad is in the picture now.
Yay!
My favourite Mario Kart player.
DJ Retromate says, "Hi Nick, hold on to your Star Wars mashes for Q4. Hasbro has just announced they are launching 7 new sets."
That was the plan anyway. I've priced them up top end to wait till December. So yeah, that's the plan.
There you go. Rocking Zebra asks, how much would you estimate the goods you have in stock are worth retail? And do you ever think I'm never going to get everything listed unless I stop buying?
All the time I think that last one. How much it's all worth, it would be a complete stab in the dark for me. Half the time I don't know what I've got, let alone what it's worth.
Yeah. I'm just not going to. I don't want to say. Thousands. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, your games, Joe, is just phenomenal. There's just.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing is as well though is it's so strange that you can have stuff at home that's worth plenty of money.
Oh, you've gone.
Have I gone? Am I still here?
You were breaking up. Try again. Start again.
Well, is that any better?
Yeah, it's fine. I can hear it.
I mean, I was just saying, like, you can have like loads and loads of stuff in stock, but it's hard to sort of get motivated to list that stuff. But you go out and you buy stuff on Saturday, and you're really up for listing that stuff straight away. It's a real strange one. I just find that old stock can just sort of disappear. I mean, I've got no idea some of the stuff that I've got now. I think I must have over 100 football shirts in stock as well. You know, it's just, I don't know. Just when am I going to list it all? This is for when I get made redundant, or this is when I do go full time. I'm going to have enough stock that I'm not going to need to go out.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that does get a certain amount of security for knowing I have that X amount of money behind me.
Yeah.
But you're right as well, Joe. You put something on a shelf and don't list it that first week, and it can, in my case, just languish. And yeah, I've got old stock. You know, from those first videos, there'll still be stock from those videos.
Yeah. And my thing is I'll buy something and I'll buy like, I don't know, Siphon Filter 2 on the PlayStation 1 or something like that. Or I can get whatever I can get for it, £7 for it. But if I get Siphon Filter 1, 2 and 3, I can get £30 for it. So I think, you know, I'll hold on to this, I'll store it, I'll wait for the set, you know, and that sort of mentality. So just end up with stuff. Even like these little fruit guys, you know, you sort of buy 1 or 2 and you think, they're not worth selling one or two. You need to get 10 of them to sell as a bundle. You know, it's those sorts of things. So you just end up with stuff. But then some stuff you just put away and you just forget about it.
I was proud of myself. I resisted buying 2 of those little fruit characters the other day because I had the same thought. I'm going to want to do a big bundle, and I
Yeah.
don't see them that often around here, so I put them back on the shelf in the charity shop.
50p each, pound each, there's reasonable money in them if you get a good bundle of them. And they often go overseas, is my experience. But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know who's buying.
No, I don't.
I often think that stuff that sells on eBay, though.
Pro Seller asks, have you ever had an item that has been switched when returned? Personally, I don't think that's happened to me. I know that people are often afraid when it comes to electronics that people will buy an identical item to what you have and then cannibalize the parts they need and send you back like a dodgy machine. It's not happened to me yet, touch wood, so I'm hoping that it won't. So, any experience in that, you guys?
No, fortunately neither. I've never had it. The only one I have had is I sold a sealed bit of media, sealed software, and the guy got it and said that it had a massive, great dirty gouge in it, and I'm not sure if he did that himself and then returned it. That's my only experience of something being returned, not in the sort of the condition that I sent it in. He opened it and had a big scratch in it. But other than that, no, I've been very fortunate. I have had a return off Argos, and where somebody failed to pick their item up, and so it got returned to me from Argos Click and Collect, and they returned a totally different item. But I just got onto them and they just refunded me. But no, I've not had that.
We had that a bit in the shop, the early days when we had like a gaming shop, and we had people just returning their faulty PS2, for example. And we had some guys that made it so obvious because they'd peeled the serial number off one and then really dodgily stuck it back on the other, you know, so they could return theirs. But then we started having a serial number log and logging the receipt number and the customer's name, etc. Which is what I do if I sell serial numbered items on eBay now and on Amazon. Actually, take a photo of the serial number, which I've given out that tip in a video before. It's worth doing just to put off potential scammers, because it doesn't happen a lot, but there are people that would do that.
I do tend to make sure actually that I take a photo of the serial number or any other markings that will kind of differentiate it. By the way, Charles Stevenson says, first time viewer Nick, did I hear you correctly that since leaving the police you bought and paid off your house? Respect for that. There you go.
Yeah, when I left the police force I was renting, then I went full time reselling and then built that up into a high street shop. And we bought our first house in 2004 and we paid it off by 2010.
Good work. Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, what I need to perhaps put out there as well is that was our plan. When we had the retail outlet, it took off and we were making an awful lot of money. But we had a plan to pay off the house and then take our feet off the pedal, which is what we're doing now. I'm not earning a lot of money now, don't get me wrong. I'm not earning enough to pay off a mortgage right now. But that's our choice. You know, we've kind of just the freedom we have now to experiment, like with Andrea's clothing shop, etc. This freedom we have to try things is because of the position we put ourselves in. But yeah, I'm happy to not earn a massive amount of money. I do well out of it, but because we paid off the mortgage, I don't have to. So that's the position I'm in.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Peter Stride asks, have you ever broken inventory? I smashed a couple of board games carrying too much at a boot fair. Anything like that happen to you?
I don't know. I have lost things occasionally. I don't think I've smashed or broken anything. I have had those moments where you just can't find something. But broken stuff, no, I don't think so.
I'm sure I have, but I just can't remember.
Yeah.
The sort of thing I would do, that's for sure.
Yeah. I recently had something which is quite a painful experience. I picked up a really gorgeous Hermes typewriter, like a vintage typewriter made in Switzerland for a tenner, and it was in brilliant condition, and I think it could have sold for about £200+. And when I got it home, I dropped it on its side, so the carriage completely. Yeah, it balked it. So in the end, something that would have gotten me about £200, I had to settle for about 40 quid. because then it got used at someone's wedding as a little display piece.
Ah, I see. Oh, actually, now I come to think of it, I have done a couple of stupid things. I remember I put a couple of pairs of trainers in the wash, which had sort of like plastic detail on them, like Converse that had detail on them, and the hot wash just sort of melted that off and made a mess of the washing machine. And I've also had stuff where I've used like nail varnish remover on stuff and like discoloured it and damaged it, but you learn not to do that again. Yeah, or trainers again, sort of using acetone on them, and you just sort of take the colour off them. But yeah, you only do that once.
Vinny Gardner says all Pikachus used to look stoned. The gizmos are good. Andy Wadsley has a question. I recently found £140 in cash stuffed in a DVD case, which was part of a job lot of DVDs. What would you guys do with that money? Charity or charity shop?
What, he bought it from a charity shop, not from?
Oh no, I think he's asking. Like, he got a job lot of DVDs. He hasn't specified where, and it ended up having.
If I got it from a charity shop, I'd give it back. If I got it from the boot sale, I'd probably keep it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think he's asking, should you give it to charity or spend it at a charity shop? Yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah. I think that's the same kind of thing. If you got it from boot fair, then it's fair game, really, isn't it?
I'd probably go out for a decent night out. Seriously.
Okay.
I remember my granddad once. He was very similar to me, loved buying and selling and all of this, and he picked up a wallet at a car boot sale, picked it up, nice little old leather wallet. He was just thinking of buying it for himself, and he opened it, looked in the little note bit at the back, and it had a fiver in it. They just thought, oh, that's nice. Closed it up, put it on the table, and they said, how much is that wallet? And they went 50p. He said, okay. And they just bless him.
Vinny mentions those Womble bags go for okay money too, Joe. Sold one ages ago. Sure, I got 30 quid for it. Get it listed.
Wow. I think I looked it up, and it wasn't even worth listing it. Or maybe I'll have to look again. All right.
Lonnie from Garage Flips asks, how do you think you guys would like the way we do it here in the States? Individual garage and yard sales that you drive around for 5 hours. Sounds like the concentrated competition is crazy at your boot sales. Go on, Nick. Go on.
I was going to say I would like to try that version because it's gonna sort of spread out the competition, isn't it? And you can kind of find a random one that nobody else has found and do really well there. But then again, conversely, it's like there's a lot of legwork. You've got to traipse around your whole town to find them. Whereas with us, they're all concentrated in one field or a car park.
Yeah.
But so all the dealers. So I don't know which is best, to be fair.
It's a time thing for me again. Like on Saturday, I go to my boot sale 6 o'clock-ish. I'm home by 8 o'clock, and that can perhaps be the only boot sale I do. I know some of you guys do like 2, 3 boot sales. Some people driving 50 miles to get to boot sales. I think I'd find that too tiring, or not really for me. I just like it being sort of quite close, get it done, get home. The idea of sort of 5, 6 hours of sort of different boots and different, I don't know. Maybe it'd be good to experience it, but I think I just like having everybody in one place, if I'm honest.
Lonnie adds to that point by saying in the peak of the season he will drive up to 35 sales in a day. That is pretty grueling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting just to try it. Like you said, I mean, it would also be interesting to see what the seller's attitude is like when they're in the comfort of their front garden, like how that would affect, what prices they sell for. But from what I've seen from the YouTubers, etc., it's pretty much the same. I mean, you get your clear out garage sailors, and then you get those that do it every weekend and want eBay prices anyway.
I think it's the same as well, that the people who seem to do really well with it, people who don't have these garage sales very often, and then often it's the stuff they put out, but then you get into that conversation with them and they're like, oh, you like Nintendo, do you? Oh, I've got a whole load of it back in the storeroom or back at home. And that can happen at a boot sale as well. It's that sort of thing. I think it's the stuff which almost isn't on show sometimes that people do really well with. But yeah, I don't know. Driving to 35 different sales sounds heavy.
I think doing boot sales, you're going to see a lot more stuff, thinking about it, because if I sometimes I do 4 on a Sunday, and I probably put myself in front of 500 stalls maybe. Yeah. I'd never do that if I was travelling around to each stall, which effectively one house is one stall. There's no way I'd take in that much stuff. And I kind of do that many because I have to see the quality, to find the quality. You know, to fill my car up, I doubt I'd do that from one boot sale around here, or buy enough sort of volume, you know.
Yeah, I was really surprised the day I went to that boot sale where I was, and it was and I think I've got a few thumbs down on my video because I think I said that the boot sale was quite small and it wasn't particularly good, but I'd still picked up quite a lot of good stuff from it. And I wasn't trying to be smug about it. I was just like, yeah, I do realise that again, like you're saying, that like just quite lucky. Boot sale can sometimes be quite small still here, but there can still be good stuff out. And I say that's perhaps why I don't need to go to quite so many.
Yeah, definitely. I think. Do you think it's because of the affluent area, or the fact that people there are just happy to give their stuff away, or what is it? Just a London thing?
I don't. Yeah, maybe just a bit of a London thing. I mean, like I go and you pick up Wii bundles and pick for like £2-3. You know, Wii bundles with 10 games and 3 controllers, and you say how much is that, mate? And they'll say £3. It's stuff like that. There just isn't really any reason to it. I don't really know. Yeah, sometimes people just wanting to get a shot of stuff. I can't really put my finger on it as to why it is like that.
I love this. I love the sound of that charity shop you've mentioned. I mean, obviously, don't disclose the location if you don't want to, but you found a kind of a novel take on a charity shop now as well.
Yeah, there's a charity shop and there's a few of them, and I think just all their stuff. Well, it is all the sort of collectible stuff goes to this one sort of place, and so it just means like all the video games and everything is just in one place. So yeah, it's really good. It's like a sort of a like Oxfam or Scope or whoever it is. Have got their sort of sorting area. And if anybody gets anything donated to the shop that looks like it could be worth something, it seems to get sent to this shop. So it's just like a retailer's dream, really. They do overprice a lot of it, but there's some really good stuff in there. Like all their video games, and got some really good ones out of there. It is great. It's really, really good. It's just all this good stuff in one place. And I'm making a point now. I don't have as much time, almost in making sure I go to that shop at least once a week, because visiting that one shop, I can get more in that than I can driving around sort of like 2-3 towns and visiting 4 or 5 different charity shops. It's just sort of like a time thing. So yeah, no, I really, really great, and just sort of building a relationship with them, making sure I buy plenty. They put the Harry Potter DVD audiobooks aside for me now, CD audiobooks aside for me now, which is great. So, it's really good.
Good stuff.
Got a few more questions in here. Chrissy Curtis asks, do you pay to enter the boot sales early? I recently found out one of ours lets people in early for £5 rather than the usual 20p entry fee. And yes, the answer is most definitely yes. I think, Nick, you even did a video about this early on.
I think I did a video about how to get the most out of boot sales, and I said, yeah, I pay it. I mean, £5 is quite steep, to be honest. I think £3 is about the max I get charged around here. But you've got to weigh up if it's worth it. Try it one week and see what the difference is between what you normally see and what you see early doors.
Yeah, good point. You don't have to pay for the ones I do, it's just the car park. So, yeah, quite lucky like that.
Okay, let's have a look.
How are we doing for time? Oh, 7:30. Should we do a couple more and then wrap it up, guys?
Yeah, that's fine. Should mention Bonafide Hustlers in the chat as well, so all the way from Austin.
Whoa.
It's always worth mentioning.
Okay.
Jeff Solo says, Joe, you are a legend. Love your videos, pal. Have learnt so much from you. Cheers, pal. So he's very happy with you there, Joe.
No, welcome. That's why they're out there. Glad. It's really great, actually. I've had some really good messages on videos. I'm sure you have as well, Nick. I had a guy, when I started doing videos quite early on, he just sort of said, oh, thanks for the tips and stuff like that. Because of you, I've been able to put a bit more money aside for our wedding, and we're doing a few bits and pieces. It's those sorts of things which you think, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I've had loads, too many to count really now.
Yeah,
a couple of messages recently from people who've been laid off work, or have had one lady who's had a really serious injury and was struggling to keep up with things, and she's found reselling. She can make ends meet now. Fantastic. Through getting inspired by myself and you guys and others.
Yeah.
Just to open someone's mind to the fact that they can do that with a PC from home.
Yeah.
And help to make ends meet, and that kind of makes it all worthwhile. I mean, we've all had a bit of flack from our videos, but that sort of thing kind of makes it worthwhile. Yeah.
If it means I have to sell a pair of Converse for 22 quid that I was getting for 25 quid 2 years ago, but people, worth it, totally worth it. Yeah.
And also, I mean, those few things. There's a few things I hardly bother buying now because I have seen the market become saturated. But I have had, I don't know how many tips from yourself, Joe, and from you, Zaheer, and the other resellers, that I've made even better money on than those things that perhaps I don't even buy anymore. So it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I've lost out maybe here, but I've gained here because of this community that we help build up. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's all positive.
It's one of the best things about making videos, and it's the reason why I'll continue to do it, because it's that odd message that you receive, saying thank you. That it's just nice, isn't it? It's great karma. So building
Yeah, I
up
think
those
it might have
karma
been
stuff.
you here that said I'm saving up my karma points. That's why I'm doing
Yeah,
the video.
that's it. Yeah, I'm racking up my karma. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. There's a couple of interesting questions just before we go. W- Joe, I think was it Simon Gardner asked, would you recommend people do reselling from car boots or RA? And kind of following on from that, John Royal says, I've been in discussions with people about doing deals in the car park of car boots for a quick flip. Is this something you do yourselves? So the first question really, like, would you recommend people do reselling from car boots or RA? Do both if you can.
yeah, bit of both, bit of both. Whatever,
Both.
if you've got the cash flow, do RA. If you are starting out, maybe boot sales. But yeah, a bit of both. I do a bit of both, mainly boot sales. But yeah,
And have you,
Yeah,
yeah,
same
Nick,
here. I mean,
you're,
RA isn't for everybody. I mean, it doesn't float Z's boat, for example, does it? It's not really your thing.
no.
But others, like myself, I get a huge buzz out of clearing supermarket shelves. I won't deny it.
in terms of deals in the car park, I mean, I get people who will hold stuff back for me. I did actually have a bit of a sad story. One lady, she had some Pokemon games or Game Boy games, Pokemon games. She used to come in and she used to have a stall, and then just gradually she stopped doing a stall. And one time she tried to sell me something in the actual boot sale, sort of out of her bag, and one of the guys who runs the boot sale saw it and kicked her out because she obviously hadn't paid for a pitch. So I felt really bad about that. But yeah, I've done a few deals in the car park, not much, but yeah.
I've had one or two. I had an interesting one was it last summer? Yeah, last summer, a guy came up to me. He saw me having great big Nerf guns sticking out of my trolley that I carry around, and he came up and he said, "Are you into buying Nerf?" And I said, "Yeah." And we exchanged numbers. I ended up buying 100 magazines off him
Mm,
and made a killing out of that.
yeah,
So yeah, it's worth chatting to people certainly and seeing what they've got to offer.
yeah.
Okay, final question. I think we should end on this one. This is a good one from Tom the English Picker. Question: at what point can you call yourself a hoarder?
Well, coming from the very best of them.
Yeah. Surely you're the most qualified to answer that.
When you've got 2 storage units, about 3 sheds, and a house full, Tom, would that equate?
I'd say so. I'd say so.
I don't know. I think we all suffer from it a little bit. It's part of it's in the blood. I think. Um, I think I know I'm a bit of a hoarder because I've got more than enough stock to be going on with, more than I could list between now and Christmas. Yeah, I'm still going out at the weekend and filling my car,
Yeah.
spending money that right now cash flow is tight. I can't really afford, but the compulsion to go is there, and it is a compulsion. So yeah, I think I would qualify as one.
I think we all, like you said, we all have a little bit of that. I mean, I really should not have gone to the boot fair this weekend. There was no reason for me to. My shop was shut. We're moving. Last thing I needed was to take more stuff with me, and yeah, we just had to go. It almost
Was it
felt.
like your last hurrah, like your goodbye
Well,
London?
no, that was meant to be the week before, but then we just decided to go again. So you just can't. When you know there's a boot fair happening, and you have to go, don't you? I mean, I thought that was the law.
It's the reseller law.
It's the law. You
But
know
it's
there's.
that,
It's
there's
hard.
nothing worse than like not getting up or laying there in bed and the weather's good when you thought it was going to be raining. You lay there and you can imagine all your rivals with all this stuff. It's the worst feeling in the world.
Oh yeah, I hate that. Sometimes I have like in-laws and stuff like that come and stay with us, and we go to the boot sale and they love it as well. They really love it, but they get up so much. They get up later than I do, so I'm sort of like ready, sort of waiting, 6 o'clock or whatever, time to go. They sort of amble downstairs sort of 6:45. All the rest of it was sort of out the door about 7 o'clock. I'm just like, oh. And as soon as I get there, I'm like a greyhound out of the trap. They think it's hilarious. But, you know, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky not to. I think the thing is with hoarding and all that, it's like, what are you holding it for? If it's something that you're holding because you know the value's not going anywhere, or in fact it's actually increasing in value, it's one thing. If you're just hoarding stock and not listing stuff and you're not very disciplined in it, that's something slightly different. So I think I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of hoarding.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's been really great chat actually, Joe. I've really been looking forward to this. It's been awesome talking to you, and had over 100 people watching this. I had a lot of questions coming in as well, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I would second that. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you spending the time with us.
No, you're welcome, guys. It's really cool. It's good. Summer holiday's a bit quieter for me, so yeah, I've got a bit of time off work to do this sort of thing. So no, it's great. Good.
What are you going to do with all that Lego that's on the floor there?
Oh yeah, I picked this up today from charity shop. There's a few sets in it and stuff like that. I've just been picking out the mega blocks as we've been sitting here. See, multitasking.
Oh, look at that! Look at that.
Dedicated. You know. I'll make it up. There's a set or two in it. There's one set in it. It's got the it's got one really nice set in it. It's got the old police helicopter, which has got the flashing light. You see that?
Really?
What's that? Yeah.
Oh, cool. I imagine you're like the T1000. You're scanning it, and all the parts are just going down the side of your visor, and you're working out which set it is as it is on the floor. Is that how it works? I mean.
Something like that, yeah.
Lego Terminator.
Yeah, like a Lego Terminator. That's it, definitely.
More law business, yeah.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say I want to wish you and Beck all the best with the move. I mean, I know it's going to be stressful, but it's going to be worth it, hopefully.
It will be worth it. I mean, thank you very much, Nick. I mean, we went there today and we loved it even more somehow than we already have been loving going up there. So,
well, that's a great sign. You're doing the right thing then, clearly.
Oh, definitely. Thank you very much, Nick. Cheers.
Yeah,
and thanks again, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy. We shall sign off there.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.